If you don't like me, that's fine. But, you know, watch your mouth.
Hello, I'm Annoying Black Boy, and in today's video, we'll be discussing Pitchfork and how criticism has this overall impact on stan culture and online spaces, especially stan Twitter. There are actually a few things that inspired me to make this video. So ever since I was a teenager and I was really getting into listening to music, especially albums, I've always known that Pitchfork had this notorious reputation of being very honest about their opinions when it comes to their reviews, because I would see a lot of music stans talk about their disapproval for Pitchfork and how much they hate Pitchfork. So because Pitchfork was just so honest about their review, every time I listened to an album, whether I loved it or I hated it, the first music review site I would visit would be Pitchfork, just to see what they say and to see what rating they gave the album. I even remember when the album Sour by Olivia Rodrigo first came out, she posted the 7.0 rating on her Instagram story, and she was like, okay, I'll take it, which shows how influential Pitchfork really is in the music scene, and that even music artists are highly aware about Pitchfork's popularity and reputation. Also, the controversial rating Pitchfork gave Halsey's latest album, The Great Impersonator. The album got a 4.8, so plenty of their fans went to Twitter to express their frustration with the low rating, accusing the reviewer of not paying attention to the story the album was portraying, as there were themes of being scared of death, as Halsey was going through health issues. Some fans even joked about the tweet Halsey made in 2020 regarding Pitchfork to defend Halsey. But before we get into everyone's distaste about Pitchfork, I like making video essays on pop culture, internet culture, and anything to do with society. And I also like making commentary videos on TV shows and movies, so if that appeals to you, make sure you like, share, comment, and subscribe. And with all that being said, let's get into why everybody hates Pitchfork.
What would you do if when you okay so he said yes would go?
I love you like ginger candy. Your spit is so sweet, and you rock my world.
Click.
You make me want to run to the store and pick you up. You're so hot.
What would you do if when you're okay, so he said yes would go? I don't know what you mean there, babes.
Pitchfork is an American online music magazine founded in 1996 by Ryan Schreiber in Minneapolis. In the beginning stages of Pitchfork, they covered alternative and indie music because Ryan grew up listening to indie rock acts such as Fugazi, Jawbox, and Guided by Voices, but they now review all sorts of genres such as pop, hip-hop, jazz, and metal. Pitchfork was created in February 1996 when Ryan was a high school graduate living in his parents' home and had no previous writing experience and was inspired by fanzine culture. Fanzine, a mix of fan and magazine, are small, independently produced publications that began to emerge in the 1930s and became more widespread in the 1970s. It's usually made by a single person or a small group of people and typically has a DIY aesthetic and covers topics such as art, politics, and music. Ryan wanted to call the website Turntable, but changed it because another site already claimed the name. The name Pitchfork was inspired by Tony Montana's tattoo in the movie Scarface. Even though the tattoo is technically a trident, I guess Pitchfork sounds better and there is already trident gum. I chose this name because it's concise and it has evilish undertones, as a pitchfork is a strong visual image and aligns with having a brutal, maybe even a harsh opinion. Early Pitchfork reviews were often very critical, the Washington Post even calling them brutal and merciless, writing, "The site's stable of critics often seem capricious, uninvested, sometimes spiteful, assigning low scores on his signature 10-point scale with punitive zeal." But Ryan defended the reviews, saying that it was important to be honest when reviewing art. In 1999, going into the 2000s, monthly print magazines like the Rolling Stone dominated the American music press, but remember, this was only monthly, so how were music fans supposed to get faster updates on new releases and upcoming music acts? the typical print media couldn't keep up, so this is where Pitchfork comes in. New technologies such as the MP3 player, iPod, and the filing sharing service Napster made music more accessible, and music blogs became a prominent resource, opening more doors for the website. The contributors Mark Richardson and Eric Harvey said that this was part of the reason why Pitchfork became so popular, since fans could share and listen to new music while reading daily updates. In 2004, Pitchfork hired their first full-time employee, Chris Kasky, who formerly worked for the site The Onion. He ran business operations and later became the president and co-owner. Scott Plagenhoof became Pitchfork's professional editor. Scott and Chris are often credited as turning Pitchfork into a professional business. As of 2004, Pitchfork had 8 full-time employees and about 50 freelance staff members. Also in 2004, Pitchfork published a positive review of Funeral by Arcade Fire, and the album became a bestseller, which proved how influential Pitchfork was in the independent music scene. By 2006, traditional music media such as magazines, radio stations, and music channels have declined, but music listeners were still looking for resources to recommend upcoming music artists. Major print magazines had to depend on selling millions of copies to reach people, while Pitchfork didn't have that problem, as they had 170,000 daily readers and was publishing 5 album reviews a day. And I was thinking, wouldn't the alternative for Rolling Stone would be to release their own website? And they did in the 90s, but I think the difference between Pitchfork and the Rolling Stone website was Rolling Stone was focusing on artists everyone already knew, while Pitchfork was shining a light on newer up-and-coming artists. Fast forward to 2014, Pitchfork was receiving about 6.2 million unique visitors and 40 million page views every month. On October 13, 2015, the American mass media company Condé Nast announced that they acquired Pitchfork and now have 50 employees. On March 13, 2016, Pitchfork launched its first new design since 2011, most likely the design we know today. And Kasky leaves in May 2017, frustrated with what Pitchfork has become underneath Condé Nast. And Schreiber announced his departure on January 8, 2019, as he wanted to explore new things. In January 2024, Condé Nast announced Pitchfork was going to merge into the men's magazine GQ. I'm calling it the death of Pitchfork. Pitchfork writes all sorts of topics relating to music, such as new music releases, up-and-coming artists to watch out for, and many more. But Pitchfork is most known for their album reviews and ratings. What makes their ratings different from other music review sites is they have a decimal system, rating albums from 0.0 being the absolute worst to 10.0 being the absolute best. And the person that is writing the review is also the only person that is assigning the rating to the album. Some critics have called this system over-precise and silly. But in 2021, Pitchfork actually said their absurdity and subjectiveness is their signature element. Ryan liked how absurd and over-precise the ratings are, and even said it felt kind of scientific without any actual science to it. Pitchfork has awarded perfect scores to more than 50 albums, most of them in its Sunday Reviews feature, which reviews classic albums that haven't been reviewed on the site yet. This was introduced in June 2016. One of my favorite albums that was a part of Pitchfork Sunday's reviews with a perfect score is Björk's solo sophomore album, Post, released in 1995. Without a doubt, one of the most influential albums of the 90s, if not ever. The review quotes, "She wanted every song to be a shock, to work in wildly contrasting styles. My musical heart was scattered at the time," Björk once said, "and I wanted the album to show that. Post is far greater than the sum of its parts, the sensory rush of dance music meeting pop storytelling, spontaneity mixed with ambition. Björk explodes her interior world into the role of the extrovert."
My name is Björk, and your television is just about to explode!
Another album that I love from one of my other favorite artists with the perfect score is Fetch the Bolt Cutters by Fiona Apple, released in 2020. The review quotes, "Fiona Apple's fifth record is Unbound, a wild symphony of everyday and unyielding masterpiece. No music has ever sounded quite like it." In this section of the video, I thought it would be kind of fun to talk about some of the worst rated albums by Pitchfork, and I did only pick artists that is widely known. Metallica's 2003 Saint Anger got a 0.8 rating. The review reads, "My comrades and I looked at each other, stupefied. Our only memory was forced effects, laughable lyrics, and audio surgical scars," which is a crazy, insane thing to say. Well, maybe not, because I did not listen to the album, so maybe they're accurate in that description. I'll just take their word for it. Nine Inch Nails' 2000 Things Falling Apart received a 0.4, writing, "Listening to this album was so painful that the festering wound no longer seemed so serious. It mends itself, but Things Falling Apart is around for the long haul," which is also an insane thing to say. And the last album we're going to talk about in this section is Weezer's 2005 Make Believe, receiving a 0.4 rating. Review states, "Considering Weezer supposedly went through hundreds of songs and several discarded albums to arrive at this final product, the laziness of this songwriting borders on the offensive." Oh, they were mad about that one. And here are some albums with a 0.0 rating according to a subreddit post I found while researching for this video. Stan Twitter is a community of Twitter users who post opinions on celebrities, music, TV shows, movies, video games, social media, and other topics. It is known for using particular terminology in incidents of harassment. That's why I personally call Twitter the ninth circle of hell, because of how batshit crazy some people can get on that app. The origin of the term stan is often credited to the 2000 song with the same name about an obsessed fan by the American rapper Eminem. The word stan was added to the Oxford English Dictionary in 2017 with the definition an overzealous or obsessive fan of a particular celebrity. Nowadays, the term stan is used in a more colloquial way rather than its original meaning. It can be a positive experience for people, as they can find a community with similar interests, make friendships, and even share talents such as writing fan fiction and making fan edits. Some of the most talented people I've ever seen, I haven't even seen them, it was the edits they make on apps like TikTok, but it's incredible. I found this article called Fandom Dynamics on Stan Twitter, a grounded theory. An excerpt reads, "A theory was developed that shed light on what motivates Stan account users to produce creative content such as fan art, fan-made videos, and fan fiction. Results indicate that creating these contents gave them a feeling of self-gratification and made them feel empowered. Interactions with other fans who supported their content also boosted their self-esteem." But if you're on Stan Twitter, you know how bad it can get. Another article I found is from The Outspoken, called Stan Twitter, the worst place on the internet. A section reads, "It may seem perhaps a few nasty tweets are not enough to justify Stan Twitter as the worst place on the internet. Not to worry, unfortunately, that would be the tamest of usual actions. Most notably, fans of certain artists will go as far as to release the private information of an adversary, including their address, place of work, or the school they go to. This is known as doxing." And like I said in the definition, there's this whole thing with Stan Twitter language and Stan culture language.
When the chow is tea but the finna is gag, sis, I'm dead as a child. Girl. Real.
And a lot of the phrases that got popular on Stan Twitter actually came from Black Twitter. I think that's one of the reasons to why there's so much confusing on what is considered AAVE or Gen Z slang or Stan Twitter slang. But that's a conversation for another day. Even though professional music critics and people on Stan Twitter have varying opinions on what music is good and what music is not so good, something they seem to agree on is their hatred for Pitchfork. Like I said earlier in the video, both music critics and stans found Pitchfork to be overly harsh with their reviews, but some other criticisms include being snobby and elitist, having a pretentious writing style, and a tendency to prioritize certain genres and artists in its earlier years. Which, that last part, it does make sense, because in the beginning stages of Pitchfork, they really only focused on indie artists, and most of those artists are of white men. Critics often accuse Pitchfork of being dismissive of music that doesn't fit what they would describe as cool. This makes sense because people who are music elitists tend to look down on artists and their fan base they perceive as basic, mainly pop artists, especially women, being the primary example. I found this article from the State Press called "Elitism in Music Extends Past Simply Disliking Certain Tunes." Section reads, "Men have traditionally had greater control of the music industry and can therefore influence the idea of what is desirable in music. I often see pop artists who are women ridiculed typically because their music doesn't resonate with a male majority audience. I've also seen many young girls being shamed for adoring these artists. Also, the writing styles of the reviews have been criticized for being overly complex, trying to sound intelligent by using $10 adjectives, making it difficult for the average reader to understand." Now I'm going to read some stan Twitter tweets talking about how much they dislike Pitchfork. "Pitchfork has genuinely become one of the most unreliable music critic sites over time. The Great Impersonator and the Tortured Poets Department Pitchfork reviews are so deeply unprofessional, and truly, you don't even feel like you're reading an album review, more like hate disguised as journalism. Pitchfork aren't even music reviewers anymore. They just write tabloid-level opinion pieces on celebrities, and they use the music as a vague guiding line for how justified they can be in their liking or disliking of someone." And my personal favorite, because it's so true, "I'm so glad that all fandoms universally agree that Pitchfork reviews are utter horse shit." A music elitist is someone who judges music based on their own taste and believes that their preferences should be the standard of all music. I personally believe that anyone can be a music elitist, whether you stand the biggest pop acts of right now or if you stand indie artists that no one has ever heard of. If you stand artists like Ariana Grande, Taylor Swift, Beyonce, and have a superiority complex because of their success and feel like you're a part of that success, I personally would consider you elitist, a music elitist. And obviously people that stand these artists don't all have this mindset. Like literally me, I literally stand Taylor Swift. She's one of my favorite artists of all time, but I don't think my music taste is better than anyone else's just because I like her music. This type of behavior is on Stan Twitter a lot and just on online spaces in general. I also think this is the reason why there's a lot of fan wars between the biggest fandoms, because a lot of people have the mindset of, oh, my fave is better than your fave, or my fave outsold your fave. That whole thing that happens a lot. I see this a lot, especially on K-pop stan Twitter. On the other hand, if someone listens to artists no one has ever heard of and has less than 1,000 monthly listeners on Spotify, then they might believe that their music taste is better than everyone else's because they're not listening to what's trending on the radio, the charts, and or social media. And hypothetically speaking, if these lesser known groups and music acts were to blow up, the earlier fans might have the "I was here when they were nobody" mindset. And they might often brag about that and belittle new fans for not joining the fandom earlier. Some fans even go as far as to gatekeep some of their favorite artists so they don't have the opportunity to get new fans and gain more attention. Some fans like it when their favorite artist is their best kept secret, but this is when it gets slightly toxic and a little bit parasocially. Parasocial relationship is a one-sided connection between a person and a media figure or a fictional character. A person can invest time and emotion into the relationship, but the other person or party is unaware of it. Examples include social media influencers, celebrities, sports teams, and movie and TV characters. It can be normal and healthy if the fan is aware that the relationship is one-sided, but it can get unhealthy if the person gets too emotionally attached and has negative effects on their life and reality. Music elitism and parasocial relationships go hand in hand because music elitists have a strong connection to their favorite artists, oftentimes making it their whole and only personality. So if you were to insult their fave, you might as well be insulting them. To refer back to the State Press article, a section reads, Tony Bagg, who recently graduated from St. Louis University with a master's degree in health administration, said mansplaining has affected her enjoyment of discussing music. I think they attach so much of their own self-worth to the kind of music they listen to that when their opinions on that music are not taken at their highest value, they get personally offended, she said. Now it's time for my final thoughts. Okay, so this last part, I did not write this down. I have no notes, so I'm just speaking from the heart. So the first thing I want to say is Pitchfork, they even admit it themselves. They're very subjective when it comes to their reviews and their ratings. So if they gave your favorite album a low ranking, please don't take it personally because it's just their opinion. Even one of the most iconic Tumblr albums of the 2010s, Born to Die by Lana Del Rey, received a 5.5, so their opinion really doesn't matter anyway. The second thing I want to say is your music taste is no better than anyone else's. You like what you like, let someone else like what they like. You're no better, you're not superior, and music is music. Music, one of the best things ever created, so let other people enjoy what they enjoy as you enjoy what you enjoy. You're no better than anyone else just because you stan whoever you stan. And the last thing I kind of want to say in this part is it is okay to be a stan. Like, literally, I'm a stan of so many things, but I think you have to like be aware that you have to be aware of the parasocial relationship. Be aware that the people or the person that you stan or that you admire, they don't know you, they don't personally know you. So make sure you have a healthy relationship with your parasocial relationships. And now you guys, it's your turn. Yep, it's your turn. Sound off in the comments. Like, tell me what you think of this video. Do you like Pitchfork? Do you hate Pitchfork? Do you want their basement to burn to the ground? Like, let me know your thoughts and opinions on parasocial relationships and music elitism and just this whole conversation. Like, it's funny because I literally had this video idea ever since January, but there was just so many other things happening in my life and I did other videos and stuff like that, but now I finally did it. So yay, I finally made the video. Like, oh my goodness. And also, thank you so much for watching this video. I hope you had so much fun watching it because I always had so much fun making it. And I really hope you like, share, comment, and subscribe, and also hit the bell notification so you'll be notified every time I upload a new video. With all that being said, I will catch you in the next video whenever that comes out. And yeah, I think that's it. Mwah. Bye. See you next time.